We are continuing to follow breaking news from Venezuela, where U.S.-led strikes inside the country today have led to the capture of President Nicolás Maduro.
The U.S. has confirmed that its military has carried out a large-scale operation in Venezuela. President Donald Trump said Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro was captured.
Now to a major developing story. U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed American strikes on Venezuela after explosions rocked the capital.
Today we're diving deep into one of the most shocking events of 2026, how the United States military launched a large-scale operation in Venezuela and captured President Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores. This isn't just another headline, it's a story full of drama, controversy, and consequences that could change global politics for years. It all began in the early hours of January 3. The U.S. military carried out a massive surprise strike across Caracas and other strategic sites in Venezuela. Explosions echoed in the capital, air defenses were overwhelmed, and smoke rose in the distance as the operation unfolded. President Donald Trump announced publicly that U.S. forces had successfully captured Nicolás Maduro and his wife during the raid. He said they were taken out of Venezuela by air and will now face justice in the United States under federal charges, including narcotics and terror-related accusations. This kind of military action is almost unheard of. The U.S. essentially entered a sovereign nation, struck its capital, and seized its head of state, something the world hasn't seen on this scale in decades. Trump described the operation as precise, saying it was well-planned and executed with skill. He compared it to a dramatic TV show, highlighting the speed and accuracy with which it was carried out. After announcing the success, Trump also said the United States would temporarily run Venezuela until a safe and fair transition of power can happen. He explained that senior U.S. officials, including the Secretary of State and defense leaders, would work with Venezuelans to manage the country during the transition period. At the same time, Trump hinted that U.S. companies might play a role in rebuilding Venezuela's massive oil infrastructure, suggesting that profits from oil production could help fund reconstruction efforts. The Venezuelan government immediately reacted with outrage. Officials condemned the attack as an illegal assault on their sovereignty, calling it an act of aggression and a violation of international norms. They demanded explanations and appealed to organizations like the United Nations. Around the world, reactions were intense and deeply divided. Many nations, especially in Latin America, condemned the U.S. military action, calling it a dangerous precedent that violates international law and could destabilize the region. Countries like Brazil called the U.S. strike crossing an unacceptable line, while others urged the United Nations to take swift action and protect the sovereignty of nations. At the same time, some voices welcomed the fall of Maduro. Venezuelan opposition leaders praised the move, calling it the beginning of a new era and a chance to restore freedom and political order to their country. Legal experts quickly highlighted a major point of controversy. Did the U.S. have the legal right to carry out this operation? According to international law, using military force inside another sovereign state without a clear UN Security Council mandate or self-defense justification is generally prohibited. Critics argued that the U.S. action could be considered a breach of international law. This situation raises significant questions about how nations balance law enforcement, national security, and respect for sovereignty. Arresting a foreign head of state on foreign soil without consent is unprecedented and has sparked debate among lawyers, diplomats, and world leaders alike. The impact doesn't stop at politics and law. People are thinking about the economic and social future of Venezuela. Decades of mismanagement had already damaged the Venezuelan economy. Now, with foreign troops and leadership influence, the country's future direction remains unclear. Meanwhile, in the United States, reactions were also mixed. Some politicians praised the operation as a bold move to counter narcotics and corruption, while others criticized the lack of congressional approval and the potential legal risks of such a unilateral action. As Maduro and his wife are set to appear in U.S. courts, many are following the legal proceedings closely. Questions remain about how a trial of a former foreign president will unfold, what charges will stick, and what this means for international justice systems. This event may shape U.S.-Latin America relations for years. Some argue it could weaken U.S. standing if seen as overreach, while others believe it might bring a new political direction to Venezuela. Ultimately, this story represents a turning point in global politics, mixing military action, legal drama, geopolitical tensions, and the fate of millions of Venezuelans in a single event. Whether you see this as a justified act of justice or a dangerous breach of international norms, one thing is certain: the world will be watching closely as the consequences unfold.